Hello, boys and girls. We're back with meekness and self-control. This month, we're talking about these two fruit of the Spirit. Meekness, which is when you're not boastful. You don't go around bragging. You don't have to be a show-off. You don't have to try to be funny. You're kind of quiet, on the quiet side, and you put other people first. That's kind of what meekness is. And self-control. When you do the things that you know you're supposed to do, and you don't do the things that you know you're not supposed to do. That's what self-control is. Now, in the Bible, there are two people that I can think of that were called meek. One of them is Jesus. It says he came riding on a donkey into Jerusalem, and he was meek as he rode into Jerusalem on the donkey. Was Jesus weak? No, he wasn't weak at all. He stood up for what he knew was right. And he spoke up when he needed to speak up. He wasn't weak, but he was meek. He didn't have to show off. He didn't have to come riding in on a big white horse. He rode on a humble donkey. And that's one reason that he was called meek. Now, the other person in the Bible who was called meek was Moses. And I'm going to tell you a story about Moses that sort of shows how he was meek, all right? This story is found in Exodus chapter 32. And at the beginning of the story, Moses goes up on a mountain, on Mount Sinai, and he's gone up 2 or 3 times, and he's come back down and given the people instructions. And as he was down the last time, he told the people the commandments that God had given him, which we call the 10 Commandments. He had spoken them to them. And the people all agreed that they would keep the 10 Commandments. Well, one of those commandments said that they would not make any graven images. They would not bow down to any statues, idols, false gods. So then Moses went back up onto the mountain. And he was there for 40 days and 40 nights. And they were used to him being gone that long. And they thought something had happened to him. And so they came to Aaron, who was Moses' brother. And they came to Aaron and they said, "Make us gods that we can see, something we can worship." Well, they just promised they weren't going to do that. But Aaron said, "Okay, bring me all your gold earrings." And so they all brought him their gold earrings, and he made a golden calf out of their earrings. And when they saw this golden calf, they jumped up and said, "Oh, look, this is our God that brought us out of Egypt." It wasn't their God that brought them out of Egypt. That was a false god. It was an idol. And they had promised not to serve idols. But they worshiped that idol. They were dancing it around, dancing around, dancing around that idol. Well, in the meantime, up on top of the mountain, God had been writing the 10 Commandments on some tables of stone. You see how he's burning the commandments into the stone? And Moses is watching and he looks a little frightened, doesn't he? But he put the 10 Commandments into the stone. And then he stopped and he said, you better get down because the people are worshiping a golden idol. They have sinned. And God was angry. He was angry with them because they'd already disobeyed him right after they promised they were going to obey him. They were already disobeying him. And so he said, I think I'll just destroy all of them. And I'll start over with you, Moses. But Moses didn't like that. He didn't like that idea. And Moses prayed for the people. He prayed that God would forgive them, that God would just make a way so that he could go forward leading these same people. He didn't want to be the father of a nation. He wanted to be the leader of this nation. He loved these people. And of course, God went along with what he wanted. I think God was really testing him to see what he would do, to see if he would say, yeah, just destroy all of them, and we'll start over with me, with my kids. But he didn't, did he? That is meekness in action. He didn't think about himself. He wasn't proud and wanted to be the big guy, the leader of the people. He wanted to think about the people themselves, and he wanted to be meek and not show offy. So that's the story of how Moses, one of the ways that Moses showed that he was meek. Remember what meekness is? It's not being a show-off, not being a bragger, bragging about everything you have or everything you can do. Being kind of quiet and looking for what you can do for other people first instead of for yourself. I think of it as, let's suppose you were trying out for something. Maybe you're trying out for a play, a part in the play, or you're trying out for a spot on a team, maybe a baseball team or a soccer team. You're trying out for the spots on those teams, and you don't win. And you don't get angry, but you're glad for the person who did get the job. You're glad for the person who got the part in the play. You're glad for the person who got a part on the team. That's meekness. You know you could do a good job at it, but you don't have to have it. You can let somebody else have it. I suppose we could call it generous and humble. Meekness is a little bit hard to understand, but I'm hoping you're getting the idea now. Now, next week, we are going to play a game, and we'll ask some questions about Moses, maybe about Jesus, maybe about the class clowns that we did last week. So pay attention. Maybe you want to go back and watch these again so that you can have it in your mind what happened in those stories. All right, see you next week. Bye-bye.